MAGA supporters are in full meltdown mode right now as the Epstein bombshell and the possibility of Donald Trump being on the Epstein files, right, is literally biting Republicans in their ass. Donald Trump talked about possibly, right, showing the Epstein files to the public. And a lot of Trump supporters supported him out of the idea that they would get transparency, they'd get accountability. And, it's obviously ridiculous. I mean, he had 30,000 confirmed lies in his first administration. He's a serial adulterer, cheated on every single one of his wives. The idea that he wouldn't lie to us is actually ridiculous in of itself. The fact that he would be transparent is ridiculous in of itself. So it's kind of funny to see MAGA finally understanding that this is true, but they're in full meltdown mode. You have influencers that are completely disavowing Donald Trump. You have influencers that are crying because of the types of things that have happened with Donald Trump. Like, for example, Alex Jones was literally crying about Donald Trump in his relation to the Epstein files, because Donald Trump prior was like, let's release those files. JD Vance was like, there's no reason why this information shouldn't be shown to the public. And now, as soon as they're the ones in power, now, it's boring. There's nothing there. So take a look here specifically, actually, at Donald Trump speaking about how he thinks that Republicans got duped by a Democratic ploy to create an Epstein files, which is ridiculous. It's obviously absurd, but listen here right now. This is Donald Trump addressing that.
Dead, he's gone, and all it is the Republicans, certain Republicans got duped by the Democrats, and they're following a Democrat playbook, and no different than Russia, and all the other hoaxes. They're started by the Democrats, and some Republicans, in this case I was surprised, but they got duped.
So he's like essentially calling Republicans stupid. He's saying that they got literally duped by Democrats in this quote unquote conspiracy relating to an Epstein file that they generated themselves. If they created this Epstein file, I just want to clarify, they would have released it, because the idea that there would have been Democrats on it as a means to specifically not release it would have been ridiculous, because they're the ones that created it. So Donald Trump can't explain why it wasn't released by Democrats and why they specifically just left it for Trump's administration. Right? That really seemingly makes no sense when it would have helped their chances at getting elected. Like, that seems obviously absurd to me. Now we have another question here, and he said that he's lost faith in a lot of Republicans. So listen here.
Does that mean that you're effectively disowning any supporters who are now calling?
I lost a lot of faith in certain people. Yeah, I lost, because they got duped by the Democrats. The Democrats are good for nothing. They've done a terrible job. They almost destroyed our country. If I didn't get elected, all these numbers you're hearing about, they found $25 billion and another 25 is coming in, and hundreds of billions of dollars is pouring into our country. And we just got the biggest tax cut in history. We just got the biggest regulation cuts in history. There'll be no tax on tips.
By the way, this is all ridiculous. Like, for example, in terms of the biggest tax cut in history, I mean, the bottom quintile, according to the Congressional Budget Office, saw a decline in their after-tax income. The idea that, like, there was this massive tax break that benefited people across the board is ridiculous. Now, you might be able to say the largest tax break ever for millionaires and billionaires, but that was at the expense of there being reverse Robin Hood, or Robin Hood for the rich, taking money from the poor and giving to the rich, decreasing after-tax income for the bottom quintile, and literally giving that money to millionaires and billionaires so that they can buy a fourth yacht. This idea here that he says right now,
there'll be no tax on Social Security.
Not in the bill. Literally not in the bill. He's just totally making this up. I don't know why he keeps saying this, because it's literally not in the bill. I promise you, there's probably someone on his administration that has told him, literally, do not say this because it's not in the bill. And yet he still keeps parading it around like it's in the bill. Like, what are you talking about, bro?
There'll be no tax on overtime.
And by the way, the no tax on tips and no tax on overtime, no tax on tips is $25,000 deduction from your taxable income. And the no tax on overtime is $12,500 deducted from your taxable income. It's not no tax on tips. It's not no tax on overtime. It's actually lying that he keeps saying that.
There'll be no tax on so many other things. These are the things.
No tax on so many other things. He can't mention what they are, but so many other things, I tell you.
That they should be talking about. I want to talk about the success.
So what he's trying to do is he's trying to deflect away from the fact that Epstein is being talked about, right? And his affiliation with Epstein. And right here, it actually demonstrates that perfectly.
But I don't understand why the Jeffrey Epstein case would be of interest to anybody. It's pretty boring stuff. It's sordid, but it's boring. And
What do you mean it's boring? Didn't you on the campaign trail specifically say that, like, oh my gosh, we have got to release this. The Democrats don't want to release this. I mean, you had Charlie Kirk saying Democrats don't want to release this because they're on it. And now look who's not releasing it, given that he's in office, and look who's trusting him, given that he's in that position. It's really interesting that Charlie Kirk has switched his energy up on this.
I don't understand why it keeps going. I think really only pretty bad people, including fake news, want to keep something like that going. But
so again, he's saying that you're bad for questioning him, for saying that, like, why aren't you releasing the Epstein files after he said that he would release the Epstein files? Like, genuinely, like, we're sitting here and we're demanding accountability. And I mean, it's not even just us who are liberals, right? We're talking people who are in the MAGA movement. He posted a tweet and got ratioed for literally posting this particular position. I mean, this isn't just liberals that are saying this. These aren't even just bad people under his perspective. These are MAGA supporters that he's calling bad. Like, what? He's in full meltdown mode. He's completely unhinged.
credible information, let them give it. Anything that's credible, I would say let them have it.
The one thing that's, like, actually genuinely crazy about this is that he says credible information, let them have it. So, I mean, I would love to see this credible information that they're referencing, but from his own perspective, he wouldn't consider any of the things that relate to him to be credible at all. And it's not that he specifically asked for that prior, that he said, oh, we need to only specifically release quote unquote credible stuff. He didn't say that with any of the other files in particular as well.
If you were president, would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
The DOJ.
So right there, he justified that specifically saying that he would release the Epstein files. And given that he would release the Epstein files, right, it is the case that, you know, if he got into office, we would expect that to happen because he has the ability to do it. Now, he didn't do it. He also had a little bit of a pause when he did it. So, like, originally at the time, we were like, why did you have this pause? Is it because you're in them?
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah.
It took him a second. But if we go back to, let's take a look at this. They were saying that they have the Epstein files on their desk. Watch this.
Maybe releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now.
We have.
Sitting on Pam Bondi's desk right now. Really?
Have flight logs, we have information, names, that will come out.
In February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention. I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file.
But I don't understand why the Jeffrey Epstein case would be of interest to anybody.
Oh, so again, do you see how quickly they change? The file is on the desk and now it's not. So this is invoking a response from Trump supporters where they are really, really angry about how Donald Trump is responding. And I think that to a certain degree, you know, which is crazy for Trump supporters. I mean, I wouldn't expect them to be doing this, but they're advocating for accountability here. Let's take a look here specifically at this Trump supporter absolutely melting down over the fact that Donald Trump has clearly lied.
List! You're trying to tell me there's no Epstein list? Do you think I'm stupid? You said
Yes.
the list is on my desk, and now you're saying there's no list?
DOJ maybe.
And he plays this clip.
Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now.
Are we okay with people SAing innocent little girls?
Well, I mean, you were okay with Donald Trump walking into the changing rooms of girls at Miss Teen USA because he quote unquote owns the place to inspect them without their consent. When there was an 18-year-old that came out, said there was 4 girls as young as 15 years old. You were okay with him saying he would date a 10-year-old girl in 10 years. You were okay with him saying he would date his own daughter if it wasn't his daughter, saying he has common with his daughter, saying yeah to Howard Stern, calling his daughter a piece of ass. I mean, you were totally okay with all of those things. And you were also okay with voting for him, even though he was held civilly liable of E. Jean Carroll.
The deep state is alive.
So the deep state is still alive, yet he still has the MAGA hat on, by the way, chat. He still has the MAGA hat on.
Still have politicians. We still have representatives that should be making decisions on what's best for America. And instead, they're reporting to someone bigger, more powerful, giving them more money to help their lives instead of
just, you know, acknowledging the reality that maybe it's not someone higher that he's specifically looking to be able to, like, you know, hide this information. maybe it's literally himself on the list. I don't know. Crazy theory to Trump supporters. Maybe it's him on the list. You know, maybe if there was a list that existed, it would be him on that list. You know, my genuine thoughts on the matter is that this type of file, although it is the case that they are claiming it was on their desk, I think that they specifically were doing that just for, like, you know, essentially like brownie points with their own crowd. I think likely it would have been taken down prior to the point in which Democrats even got in office in the first place. I mean, this happened under Trump's first administration anyway, and they tried to sweep it under the rug. So I would think that this would have not been a file that Democrats had access to. And I would genuinely wonder why, if they thought that Democrats had access to this, why they didn't, you know, try to push legislation to, like, release it. Because, you know, Democrats recently have tried to push legislation to release it, and Republicans have voted against it. Now, this isn't the only MAGA meltdown that we have. You know, there's another video right here I'm going to show everyone. A very small portion of the short that I just made, that I posted. It's Alex Jones crashing out.
Don't tell us all this stuff's coming out, the investigation's massive, that Trump wants it released, and then say, oh, there's nothing there.
And Bondi needs to be fired. This is honestly one of the craziest things I've ever seen in my entire life.
For them to do something like this tears my guts out.
Yeah, that's like, he's like literally so sad that Donald Trump has lied to him and manipulated him and gaslit him. Like, you couldn't have identified that he was going to do this because, you know, he has 30,000 confirmed lies under his first administration, cheated on every single one of his wives. Again, like what I said earlier in the video, that is for some reason something that they just couldn't comprehend him to do, given that he has this history. I just don't understand how they didn't realize this. This is a MAGA meltdown that, you know, is expected, right? We would want people to respond this way, you know? We'd want them to look for transparency and accountability. And I'm sad that it actually took this long for Trump supporters to finally demand transparency and accountability from Donald Trump. But I hope they continue to do it.